What's up, guys? I am so excited to be here with you today, talking about this idea of becoming unbreakable and what that means in your life, what it means to truly become an unbreakable force, an unbreakable human being who can take this world by storm. You can unleash the thing that is within you, the way that many of us have been able to piece by piece unleash the thing that is within us. It's something that we've all learned and grown, whether it's Princeton, Amelia, all of the Renee, all of the amazing people, Tony, all these people who are here today investing time, effort, and energy into you. They've walked through a season that could have broken them, but has proven that they become unbreakable. So I want to start out with this concept today. I want you to stop for a minute. Maybe if you can, look in a mirror, or if you've got your phone with you there, turn the camera on and point it right at your face, and so you can just look straight at it and see yourself. And I want to ask you this question. When you look at the reflection, when you look at the person that you see in front of you, what are the immediate thoughts that come to mind? Who do you see? What's the potential that you see in that reflection, in that person? What are the limitations that come to mind in that moment? What do you believe you're capable of doing? What are you afraid of? What do you believe is not possible for you? Pause and ask those questions, because it's really important for us to become completely self-aware of what is happening inside of us. Not just here, but here. It's really important that we understand what's happening at the core, the gut, the heart level inside of us. What limitations may hold us back. I think about one of the first times I took a crazy leap of faith. It was a literal leap of faith. I jumped out of an airplane, and I don't know if you've ever done that. It's one of the most exhilarating things that I have ever done. And I'm the type person who just makes the decision to go for it, and I go. But I also just go all the way. There's no halfway, there's no little bit, there's all in with all I have, and I want to give it my best. But that doesn't mean that fears, that anxieties and questions and shortcomings don't pop up in my mind. So when I decided to go skydiving for the first time, I decided that I wanted to go all the way. So what does that really mean? It's not about whether or not I actually jumped out of a plane. Most of the time when people go and skydive for the very first time, they go tandem. So they have somebody strapped to them. Actually, they're strapped to your back, right? So you're kind of like piggyback with somebody, and they're the ones that pull the parachute, and you're strapped to them, and you ride down, and you still get kind of all the experience. But here was my attitude, and I don't know if you've ever felt this way about anything else in life, but I kind of decided, if this doesn't work out right, and I do hit the ground at 100 and something miles an hour, I don't want to be pancaked between some stranger and the ground. So I found a place that would allow me to go through ground school for a number of hours to get certified, so that when I jumped out of the plane the first time, it was just me, myself, and I when I jumped out of that plane. And so we went through and we tested things, and they showed me how to pack the chute, and we packed the chute, and then we tested the chute, and then we packed the chute again, and then we tested it again, and then you test the rip cord and the backup cord, and the backup chute's packed, and you're reading your altimeter that's on your wrist, and then you've got an altimeter that's on your vest, and you're trying on all the gear, and you've got the goggles on so that the wind's not beating your eyeballs out of your head, and you get everything ready, and you put the windsuit on, and you're ready to jump, right? And you get in the plane, and I'll never forget, we've gone through hours and hours of this. I had to take a written exam, I had to take a verbal exam, I had to prove that I know how to do it over and over and over again, but it still felt jam-packed into a small period of time. Now I'm going to pause right there. I want you to think about anything that you've wanted to do in life. When an opportunity presents itself, so many times, maybe it feels like we've only got the chance to go through that one little bit of ground school, or maybe we don't even have that much. And we cram it all in, and then we've got to go execute on this idea. And so it can create this anxiety and insecurity in us, a feeling of less than, or that maybe we're not going to be capable, we can't do it, when in fact we actually can. So as I had the jumpsuit on and strapped the parachute on, I've got everything on, and I go and I climb into this little Cessna plane in the backyard of this jump school, because that's really what it was. There was the backyard with the runway out there in the middle of Texas, and I climbed into this little plane. And when I climbed into that little plane and they turned on the engine and we started to rumble down this dirt runway to take off, all the fear and anxiety hit me. Can I remember when to pull? Will my gauge work? Will the pull work? Will the backup work if the main pull doesn't work? If I hit the ground, will it hurt? I mean, all these things go through my mind as we're not even off the ground yet. And then we start to take off. And we spend about 15 minutes doing this back and forth loop as we climb, as we go up, as we reach the right altitude, which turns out it's 14,000 feet. So we get 14,000 feet up. And there comes this moment where it's time to take that leap of faith. So the instructor's with me. The lady who runs the ground school is in the plane with me, and then the pilot is in the plane. And I'll never forget, they open the side door on the airplane. So it's right under the wing, and they open up this door, and and she shows me, she goes, okay, this is how we're going to climb out. And I was like, excuse me, I thought we jumped out. Climbing out, this is a whole new thing to me, right? Because sometimes when we go on a journey, we decide to take a step of faith. We want to start a business. We want to start a family. We want to move to a new place. We want to do anything big in life that requires a lot of us. Little details come up along the way that maybe we didn't know about before, or maybe we weren't prepared for. So that plane opens up, and the rush of pressure and air is going through the plane, and the anxiety starts to set in because now this is real. This is real. This is really about to happen to me. And so she shows me as she steps out onto this platform that I promised wasn't more than about 4 or 5 inches sticking out of the side of the plane. And then she steps onto the strut underneath the wing. And she holds on, and she's screaming at me because, you know, you're going 100 and something miles an hour forward in the air. The air is rushing by. The sound is big. I mean, this is a sensory overload moment. And she goes, all you got to do, and she gets back and she starts to bounce. She goes, you just count yourself off. 1, 2, 3. And she said, you just have to let go because the plane's going to keep going forward and you're going to go that way. In that moment, you know, that those things make sense when you think about them, but in the moment when you're staring out the door of an airplane that's 14,000 feet in the air, it's going 100 something miles an hour, you just kind of, everything's just a blur. Do you know how many times life is like that for you and me? That it's like this blur, that everything is just flying past us and it's so fast and we can't see it, and it's driving us crazy, and it seems manic. And manic and insane, and we don't know what to do. And yet we're committed to the action. Maybe we've said it out loud. Maybe we've set it into motion. Maybe we've taken those first few steps of faith in the process. And so now we're committed to the way, and we got to do this. And in that moment, she actually gave me one last chance. She said, you can choose not to jump, or you can do this. Don't think I didn't consider saying never mind. Then again, I had just paid like $400 and something to go through this extra ground school so that I could jump on my own, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this thing. So she said, if you're ready to go, let's go. About the time she says that, the instructor who had been teaching me everything, he's in there, he's a hot shot. And he goes, all right, well, my job is to go ahead of you, to be on the ground when you get down there, to help you and to navigate how to get your chute back together and all that kind of stuff. And literally, I kid you not, dives out of the plane like as fast as lightning. He's just gone, and I watch him, and he just darts straight. I mean, it was amazing, actually. It was like something you see in a Marvel movie. I thought, man, I wish I was brave enough to do that. I wish I could do something cool like that. So I decided I'd step out there, and that rush, you know, that feel when you're about to do something huge that's life-changing, that it's that big moment in life that's going to change everything for you. And you want to puke. You feel like you're going to have to change your pants because it's so scary. All your fears come back. They all come back. in moments like that. It's in those moments that you and I may find out whether or not our spirit is unbreakable. And I want you to know something for you, and what I know about for me, and what the others who have been here with you today know for sure, is that the spirit, the being, the creation, the soul of who you are is unbreakable. But you're going to have to be pushed to a limit at some point in life. You're going to have to be pushed beyond what you think is possible to find out just how resilient and strong, capable you are. So as I stepped towards the door of that plane and I started to inch my way out on the wing, all of the sudden, see, we start to think about all the what ifs, right, in life, and we start to think about all the, if this doesn't work, then what about that, and how's this going to feel, and what are other people going to think, and and all these things start to fill in, and then we start to assume what the feeling is going to be like. So as I got ready to go out of that plane, I assumed, like many of us, like when you were a kid and you're riding in the backseat of your parents' car and they go over a hill really fast, you get that turn in your stomach, right? Or when you ride a roller coaster, that rush or that exhilaration, because it's based in fear and that fight or flight response that's built into our human nature, right? So I'm just assuming I'm going to feel all these things. And so what am I going to do with this? Because if I'm feeling all this, can I pay attention to all the other things? And I remember as I stepped out onto that wing, that feeling didn't exist. It wasn't there. I didn't get a turn in my stomach. And in fact, we were so high up, when I looked down, I couldn't even judge the idea of how high up I really was because the ground was so far below me. My mind, my body, everything was so disoriented. It didn't know what to think about it. So it didn't have a lot of feeling. I was more afraid of being afraid than actually having fear in the moment. See, a lot of times it's that hesitation, that fear of being afraid that keeps us from finding out how resilient and how strong we really are, how much we can handle, what can really happen for us when we take the leap of faith, when we step out. So I get out on that plane, on that wing, outside the plane, going 140, 50 miles an hour through the air, and I got to count myself down. And the instructor, or the lady who runs the ground school is there with me because the instructor, like I told you, he Marvel movied his way out of the plane and he's already on his way down. As a matter of fact, he was out of sight by this point. And so we're out on the wing and we're both there and kind of doing our little bounce and holding on to that strut. And she goes, all right, on the count of 4, we're going to let go. Now, in my mind, in this 4-second window, I go back through the inventory. Is my altimeter here? Yes. Is my altimeter here? Yes. Are my goggles in place? Yes. Okay. I know where my ripcord is so I can pull the parachute when it's time and all of that. And then how do I make sure that I, relax my body into the right position so that I don't start like a spin or some crazy motion in the air where I'm out of control and I can't handle it. And so I'm having to do all this in 4 seconds. You ever feel like when you make a move in life and business and those sorts of things, like you got 4 seconds to recall all the wisdom and the knowledge and the training and the experiences and everything in your life so that maybe you will actually survive what could be a free fall for you? That's what happened in those 4 seconds. And then I jumped. What an exhilaration. See, if you've started a business, the first step isn't to jump out of the airplane. The first step is the decision to do it. If you've started a family, if you've made a change in your career or anything like that, the first step is not the leap out of the airplane. It's the decision that you are going to leap out of an airplane. Because by the time you leap out of the airplane, it's in motion, it's happening, it's working. And so that moment of jumping out of the plane, what that felt like to me was when I had started businesses in the past and what I felt since then when I started it and it started to work. And so we're in this fall and you get to free fall for literally like 20 seconds, guys, 20 seconds. But in 20 seconds, you fall like 8,000 feet. It's crazy, but you don't even notice. You can't even tell. As a matter of fact, the terminal velocity thing keeps your body from having all that weird, like over the hill and turn stomach and everything. And then again, you're so far up in the sky that you also can't even tell that you're even getting that much closer to the ground. And it's just this very strange thing. And see, this happens in life and in business. Sometimes when we're going over a bell curve, when we're going through growth or we're declining, sometimes it all feels the same. It's kind of a disorienting thing. And so we have to trust the process. And the process for me was check my altimeter on my wrist, on my chest, make sure my cord's there, and be ready. When that altimeter reads 5,500 feet, you pull the cord, right? So I'm watching, it's calculated. See, a lot of leaps of faith and a lot of moments that we take in life, we kind of just throw out like, oh, in faith, you just go and do. But the reality is in leadership and in business and in life, when we're building families, there's calculated risks. There's tools around us. We've got to utilize those things and those people and those moments and those trainings and that wisdom around us to make sure that we navigate each leap of faith with some wisdom. And so I remember when I went to pull the cord that first time, it stuck. You want to talk about fear. You want to talk about all of a sudden everything that everybody said to me when I made the decision to go jump out of a plane. My ex-wife at the time, she's like, I don't want to raise the kids by myself. I don't want to have all of these children to take care of on my own. So, thanks for taking the risk and possibly leaving me to be a single mother to all of these children and all of those things. And then what is it going to hurt and what's going to happen and panic and I can't fix this or can I fix this or what's going to happen? I mean, all of that stuff. And you know what? That's happened to me in life and in business as well. So many different parts of my journey, I've taken the leap of faith. I've gone for it. I've made the move and something doesn't work. Something doesn't work. And it doesn't always feel good, right? It's scary. It worries you. And that's when you find out how strong and resilient you really are. Because in that moment, what I had to do for the 5th time with that ripcord is I literally grabbed with both hands and pulled it. And when I did, it ripped out and went up, and I had to grab the handles on that parachute to hold on as it came out. And when it came out, it nearly felt like it was going to jerk my arms out of socket. And it pulled and it actually tore through the skin on my hands because of the motion and what was going on. It was scary. It was painful. It was filled with anxiety. The instructor was off in the distance coming down, and I could see, wondering, does she think that I'm screwing up? What does she think about me? Do I look like an idiot? Like all of those things. You know how that is in life, like when things are not working or when things maybe are working, but we know that we have an audience around us and we start to pay attention and then we start to ask ourselves, what do they think? What do they feel? What's going on in their minds? And then we doubt ourselves or we wonder if we're good enough, strong enough, or what can we even measure up in those moments. And after moments of crisis, there usually comes a calm. There usually comes a moment where everything kind of settles down. And that's exactly what happened. As that parachute filled out, as it took tension, as it stopped pulling my arms out, all of a sudden it was quiet. No sound of rushing air. And it was just me way up there looking out over this beautiful world that's been created for us to enjoy. It was a beautiful sunny day. I could see for miles in every direction. And I was able to just very gently guide that chute in different directions, to twist and to turn and to take a look at what was going on around me and to take in the beauty. And for the next 4.5 minutes, I rode that parachute down in the most peaceful, incredible, exhilarating reality of my life. And when I got to the ground, it wasn't the prettiest landing. As a matter of fact, it looked more like a baseball slide in when I got to the ground. But I was so excited. I stood up. I'm bleeding in my hands because they got ripped by the parachute. I had gone through that anxiety. I wasn't sure I hadn't wet my pants or messed my pants. I didn't even know. But I was so excited when I hit the ground. Matter of fact, when I stood up, I'd hit the ground hard enough. I ripped through the fly shit or the jumpsuit and through the jeans that I was wearing underneath. I had skinned my knee. I had marks on me. I had scars on me from that moment. But when I stood up, I knew that I was unbreakable. I proved to myself by stepping out there that I was capable of something incredible, something far beyond the realm of what our physical bodies were built for. Because I got on a plane that we created and I flew up 14,000 feet and I used a nylon parachute packed into a backpack with a measurement device that we all created, not that was put into this body, but that we got to utilize by this body and by this mind and by our spirit as human beings to create experiences and moments like that. And I did it, and I survived, and I proved it was possible, and it was amazing. Here's the thing. I've had lots of success, and I've had lots of failure. Like you heard Amelia say today, I can tell you the stories of the 8 and 9 figure businesses that I helped build and exit from, the chain of jewelry stores that spanned across the southeast of the United States, or building one of the largest churches in the United States, and being on TV and getting to talk every week and publishing books. I just had a book hit #2 on Amazon. It's great, but I've had just as many failures. I've hired the wrong people. I made the wrong decision. I've woken up and had all the money in my bank account at zero, with children to feed, a mortgage to pay, and a life to lead. And whether it was success or whether it was failure, all that was at the center of that was me and my reflection in the mirror. It was me and the thoughts that were in my head and the feelings in my heart. If you want to literally live an unbreakable life, there's one thing that matters the most. You have got to learn to just be you. Just be you. See, your unique gifts and talents and abilities and your viewpoint on the world and your opinions on things and the way you operate and the way you do business and the way you do life. This world is a mosaic that God created for us to live in and to populate and to paint a beautiful picture of humanity. And you need to show up just being you, because the power that you have for the world around you is already within you. The resources you need are already around you. See, I had to believe, because I had a massive fear of heights, that I could overcome from what was within me to jump out of that plane. And I used the resources that were around me, the money it took to take the ground school and to pay for the jump, but then the parachute, the plane, the altimeter, all the tools that were around me, they were there. The resources I need were already there. It was within me and around me. The one choice that I made, it was for my 33rd birthday, was that I'm going to do something for me that I've never done before, because I'm going to prove that I can just be me, that I can love me, that I can take care of me. And that's what I did. It's not the only time I've had to do that. I've had to do that so many times in my life. And sometimes that choice to become unbreakable is standing in front of the mirror and starting to believe that I'm good enough. It's getting in front of the mirror in those moments and saying, I may have failed at something. I may not be the smartest person. I may not have all the answers. I may not be able to do what Amelia does, or what Princeton does, or what Marcus does, or what Tony does, or what Renee does, or any of these other individuals who are here with us today, or what you who are watching this right now are able to do. Because what I can do is me. And it's good enough. And people need it. And people desire it, whether I believe it or not. So many of us have come into this life to live a script that was written by somebody else for somebody else and handed to us, and we were told what character to play. And because we are so afraid of the opinions of others and the opinion of ourselves when we get in front of the mirror, we play the part. And we don't live with fulfillment, and we don't live with joy, and we don't live with exhilaration. We don't actually face the deepest fears and worries in our life and find out that we can, in fact, overcome and we can beat this thing and we can do it. And so, what I want to challenge you today, if you want to reach that unbreakable level in your life, in your business, in your journey, step in front of a mirror today and celebrate that you are you. Just be you. Just live from the gut and the brain that God gave you and realize that you are a masterpiece, incredibly created by God. You know, one of the things that I love, I've heard this verse my whole life growing up in church, that we were a masterpiece created by God. But one of the things that often gets left out when we're taught that passage out of Psalms is that it also goes on to say that every single day of your life was authored by that same creator. So guys, when you fail, when you struggle, when you fear, when you succeed, when you wonder, when you stall out, God wrote those days for you. So every day is a masterpiece. Far too often, we get caught behind an 8 ball worrying about, could I have done better? Should I have done more? What did I do wrong? Instead, we should look back and go, what was God doing in that moment? What can I learn from that moment? I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm better, I understand more, I have less fear, I have all of this opportunity, I survived. Because whether you're 18 or 88, when I talked to my grandmother yesterday for her birthday, she turned 88 years old. And she reminded me something that I want you to hear now. I get up every day. This is what she said to me. She said, Michael, I get up every single day. And no matter what I face, I'm certain that I survived every day before. So whether it's good, it's bad, whether it's success, it's failure, whether my body hurts or I feel good, whether I think I'm 88 or 18, I've made it this far, I can make it to tomorrow. You've survived every one of your worst days so far. You're unbreakable. You have what it takes. It is within you and it is around you, and you need to wake up and recognize that. But you can't see all that stuff until you get in front of the mirror and recognize the reflection has everything you need to live that unbreakable life. In my entire journey, I've built one of the most successful jewelry chains in the country. I built one of the biggest churches in the country. I built an incredible tech firm that did really well. I've had a business partner embezzle millions of dollars from me. I have survived a divorce. I have survived coming out late in life and reorienting what people know about me and surviving it and standing up stronger. I have remarried and built a healthy relationship. My kids are still and as much a part of my life, and my family, instead of being fractured, got bigger. The things that you think may be impossible for you, I can tell you today, you will and can and must survive, because the world needs you, and it needs more unbreakable people to step out there and to make a difference, to speak life, to give hope, and to serve the world around you. You have what it takes. You are unbreakable. Go out there and be a part of this mosaic that is changing the world. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for being here with all of us today. The heart and the vision behind Unbreakable with Princeton and Kelly and Jeff and all of the rest of us who are here as part of this team today is to speak life to you, to give hope to you, to awaken something within you so that you can go out and make a difference in this world. We're here giving to you because we know that you are here to go give to the world around you. So show up just as you are. because it's exactly what this world needs. Guys, thanks for being here today. I'll see you again soon.